Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where the Batman's box office is as intense as Robert Pattinson, which is pretty freaking intense. How many times have you seen the Batman so far? I'm still waiting for crowds to go down a little bit so I can go again. And I gotta tell you, it looks like I'm gonna have to wait a little longer, because every showing, even during the weekday, is packed, especially in the premium theater, which I wish to attend. Yes, last Sunday I told you that weekday numbers would be crucial as to whether or not the Batman would join the $1 billion club. And sure enough, in addition to opening bigger than Joker, it's posting bigger weekday numbers as well. Couldn't happen to a sweller movie. I love both those movies. They're very similar, which is why I'm using Joker as a comparison. And Joker is a $1 billion picture, which is what of course we're hoping for the Batman. Now, since we only look at the weekend with our box office discussions, it's actually a well-kept secret that big movies do big business even during the week. But movies that just don't have the same hype will drop off substantially during the week. And I threw a Marvel movie in there to be fair. By the way, why is there typically a big jump on Tuesdays? I believe that's because many movie theaters offer a discount on Tuesdays. For instance, AMC not only discounts movie tickets, but the concession stand as well. That's a big jump, though. A lot of people are waiting for the cheaper day, which is interesting. AMC really loves to play with the price point there. I think I heard somewhere that they took that extra $1.50 off. Oh, no, it's doing great. I think these are very tiny fluctuations. And I think if anyone complains about the extra $1 to $1.50, AMC should be like, well, there's always Tuesday. All right. At the end of its second weekend, the Batman has already flown past 200 million. Hooray! And with just a 51% drop, Joker had a 42% drop in its second weekend. And Deadline was like, well, look, if you remove the early fan screenings from the Batman's opening weekend, which were rolled in, well, then the Batman had just like a 41% drop right there with Joker. But I mean, all those fans wouldn't have been, they would have just gone the opening weekend. So I think that you can't really do that. Also, 51% is a very impressive hold. You don't need to soften that blow. Most superhero movies drop 60% or more during good times, and during the pandemic, which I think we're kind of almost out of in terms of how you should still be careful. But in terms of how it affects business, I think, and hopefully no other variants come along. But I think, movies are getting back to normal. And there's this beautiful open space for the Batman because everybody else was more cautious and didn't book most of their movies until May. But anyway, during the pandemic, big superhero movies were dropping around 70%. Furthermore, the Batman is almost at $500 million worldwide in just 10 days. Woo! Making it pretty much guaranteed to join the $1 billion club. I'm so excited. So the next question is, of course, because we're excited, but then we got to move on to the next big accomplishment, and that's what will it take for it to place on the all-time charts? We didn't know Spider-Man would, and it's really freaking high on those charts. It needs at least 621 million domestic to unseat The Last Jedi to at least get to number 10 on the all-time list, domestic. And if it wants to get on the all-time worldwide box office, it needs a little over 1.5 to unseat Furious 7. I don't know if it's going to do that. Look, although I have to say, because you're like, if it's going to make $1 billion, why is it still so far away from the all-time top 10s? Well, that's because the $1 billion club is a little crowded these days at 49 members. It's almost getting as big as the SNL Five Timers Club. I don't know if you saw that recent sketch. There are a lot of members at this point. The $2 billion club is where the cool kids sit these days. And it's got to be just killing Sony, just killing them, that Spider-Man No Way Home is so close to the $2 billion club. And I think it almost for sure would have been in there, probably dominated it if it hadn't been for a pandemic and if China hadn't kept the movie out. It would have just done incredible. It already did incredible, but that's gotta stick in their craw. And the movie leaking online is not helping things either because it's forcing Sony to release No Way Home on digital this Tuesday instead of next Tuesday. They moved it up a week with little fanfare for some reason, but yeah, it's this Tuesday. Apparently only in North America, which is sad. I feel bad for those of you overseas, but apparently Sony couldn't move fast enough, I guess. It's digital. It's pushing a button. I don't know why they can't move it up, but apparently they haven't been able to. Keep your fingers crossed for maybe check on Tuesday just to be sure. But you know what else is happening on Tuesday? We're having our watch along. Oh, it's going to be a great time. Anyone can join in with their own copy of the film at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And get your snacks. Oh, only members will be able to comment, though. If you'd like to become a member, the button to join is down below. And there will be a link on that watch-along. Get your snacks ready. I already have mine planned. I'm doing peanut M&Ms, and I'm treating myself to a Diet Pepsi. That's right. Sugar Rush, baby. Sugar Rush. Woohoo! All right, and we'll do another watch-along when The Batman hits HBO Max in just 45 days from its release, which is ridiculous because, as we discussed last week, that cuts its exclusivity to theaters in half versus Spider-Man No Way Home's run. Ridiculous, but they really want to get those HBO Max numbers up, which they will not share with us suspiciously. But hey, The Batman, you know what? It just needs to reach $1 billion. That's all it needs to do, so I'm very happy that it's on track to do that. Warner Brothers only has 7 entries in that $1 billion club, while Disney Fox has 29. Whew. All right, Universal has 7. They're tied with Warner Brothers, while Sony and Paramount are tied at 3 apiece. That's why Sony ain't never given Spider-Man back. All right, but back to Warner Brothers. 4 of those 7 are DC movies, while 8 of Disney's 29 are Marvel. That's actually not as bad as I thought it would be, 4 versus 8. Warner Brothers, you're doing not bad. Keep it up. Anyway, it's a huge win for Warner Brothers overall to have their box office come roaring back to life like this after their very unfortunate 2021, where they had their Maverick digital play, which in hindsight was a really big frickin' mistake. It did not work at all. They were even at no extra cost. That's why I'm not sure why that didn't work. It's crazy. They had a pretty good slate too. I don't know, maybe it's rough. It's rough out there in streaming land. It's rough. All right, now, I'm sure the film division is ecstatic to get this maybe last-minute reprieve just as the Discovery merger starts to kick off, right? They're like, hey, look at our numbers. Don't look too closely, but look at this last number. Woo, pretty impressive. And they could just blame 2021 on Jason Kilar. But David Zaslav, maybe he'll keep his cuts to the streaming side of Warner Brothers, right? And maybe just HBO Max, because HBO is actually doing really, really well. And you know what? HBO Max has some great content on there, goddammit. For instance, I just started watching The Tourist, which is on there from BBC, the BBC. That's great. No one's talking about it because nobody freaking watches HBO Max. All right, so anyway, Zaslav is keeping his cards close to his vest, as a Hollywood Reporter covered this week, and it's going to be real interesting to see what moves executive decisions he makes this spring. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fast and furiously. That's another franchise at another studio, but you know what I'm saying. All right, as for the rest of the box office, well, as we've discussed, Warner Brothers also benefited from Hollywood basically just handing them this victory, as there ain't nothing else out there. The summer will be much more competitive. I mean, look, Spider-Man No Way Home is still in the top 5. And, that's a great, iconic film, but that's ridiculous. Channing Tatum's Dog is also doing very well, despite now being on digital, but just for sale, not for rental. And Lost City, by the way, his next big movie, just premiered at South by Southwest this weekend to great reviews. My press screening is later this week. And look at that! BTS's concert movie took 3rd place, even with very limited distribution. It's at under 1,000 theaters. The same weekend that May and Friends freaked out over Four Town, over on Disney+. Yes, Turning Red was sent directly to the Mouse's streaming service and trended on Twitter, especially last night. It was interesting to watch. On Friday, just Pixar trended with a lowercase p, which I found fascinating. And then during Saturday night, I saw Turning Red pop into the top 10. However, it's hard to tell how the film is doing because Nielsen's charts again are a month behind. And since it didn't play in theaters, there's no cinema score. But we do have online audience scores that are not good. So I feel it's a combination of the following. First off, the movie should have been rated PG-13 and been more upfront in the ad campaign that it's about puberty. When I interviewed the director and producer, they said they pitched it as the magical puberty movie. And I think maybe that should have been the headline on the poster. It's important. People don't like to be surprised. Well, sometimes they don't. I think this is not a great surprise for some families who might be sitting down with very young children. So I think that it's important to put people in the right mindset. I tried to do that with my review of the film, and I hope that helped some of you get ready to be open to what a great movie it is. And then there are 2 other reasons that I think that might be at play that are unfortunate. I think that Disney deciding to finally do the right thing and support the LGBT community and its own employees on Friday, that's very important. They are forcing a number of people to move to Florida because they're moving some huge divisions there. They're moving Imagineering. That's incredible. They're moving Imagineering to Florida. And also, I think like their consumer products division. And so, understandably, a number of their LGBT employees who have families are like, what are you doing to me? So a number of conservatives, I think, are trying to fight back with their own strong arming and are either review bombing Turning Red or are genuinely upset, and it's affecting how they view Disney's product, which again is really unfortunate. And then, sadly, they're both so sad. Some people have a lack of empathy and interest in learning about people different from themselves and those people's experiences. I mean, come on. I mean, look, I'm not saying you have to like Turning Red. I mean, not everyone who watches it has to think it's a great movie. I don't think it's a perfect film, and I don't think they made it to have broad appeal. I don't think it was made to be very commercial. That doesn't mean it's not a really exciting film, and I think it's probably going to win the Oscar if I had to, let's see how the rest of the year goes, but I think it's probably going to win Best Animated Feature. Although I don't know, does Luca somehow qualified, so we'll see. But I do feel that a lot of the criticism of the film that I was reading over the weekend from viewers has been overly harsh and aggressive, and I'm just going to say it, close-minded. I mean, you don't have to agree with someone's life choices and the way they conduct themselves to be interested in their story. And that's how I think you should look at it. And you don't even have to, you don't have to watch it, you don't have to like it, but you don't have to hate on it either. All right, so did you watch Turning Red this weekend? If so, what did you think and what was your experience? All right, let's go head over to streaming officially, and let's start again as we always do with Nielsen for the second week of February, where Reacher in its second week climbed to #1, giving Amazon its first #1 show ever on Nielsen. That is huge. Woo, big raises hopefully for everybody. And again, expect Alan Ritchson's star to rise. If I were a studio head, I'd be like, let's find him a movie. Meanwhile, the Book of Boba Fett ended with a whimper, still in just 5th place, even with its final episode, with no bump as the entire season became available to binge. Remember, it debuts on Wednesday, so the rest of the week was available on this chart. Considering how strong it ended with the last few episodes, I even liked the final episode. I mean, it wasn't as good as the second to last two, but it was still good. I mean, that's concerning. That would make me sweat a little bit if I ran Star Wars. Now, over in movies, it's going great for Disney, as Encanto still rules, and it still ain't even close. Wow, all the other movies are in the dust. As for Netflix's charts for just this past week, forgotten fan favorites Blair Waldorf and Jamie Lannister still got it, at least sometimes, as their Netflix movies did quite well, with Medea right behind them in a solid 3rd place her second weekend. Then over for series for Netflix, Vikings Valhalla is, I think it went up to #1, actually. I think Inventing Anna was #1 last week, right? And seasons 2 and 3 have been greenlit. While Inventing Anna managed to hold off, she's now in number 2 position, holding off strong newcomers, Pieces of Her, and docuseries from Jason Blum, Worst Roommate Ever. One of you tweeted about that it really gave you nightmares, and it just stuck with me for some reason. But I still didn't watch it. All right, anyway. Finally, over on iTunes, there's Channing Tatum at #1 with Dog, putting 2 conservative, at least slightly conservative slated films in the top 10. And American Underdog has been in the top 10 for a very long time. Although I still haven't watched that either. I got a lot to watch. All right, and look, Spider-Man No Way Home, already in 4th place. In anticipation of Tuesday's drop. I pressed pre-order because we're watching it Tuesday. All right, also, what else? So let's see here. What else is coming this week besides Spider-Man No Way Home? And again, more Batman. Well, Sandra Oh is busy with her new horror film, Umma, hitting some theaters on Friday. It doesn't have very good distribution, but we'll see how it does. And there are a bunch of other small pictures hoping to find an audience as well with no competition. It's just the Batman, and I guess maybe I don't know if anyone's going to see these movies, quite frankly. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think next week's box office could be a bloodbath, but let's see. So you've got Umma. You also have The Outfit starring Mark Rylance, Dylan O'Brien, and Zoe Deutsch. But come on, that's a streaming movie. Alice with Keke Palmer and Common. That could be pretty good, but I think the Keke Palmer movie everybody's excited about is Nope. And then, of course, and then X, not of course to me. X, because I've been seeing this film around. Maybe you have too, but there's X. It has an interesting poster with Mia Goth. Remember her? Is she still dating Shia LaBeouf? And she was in that movie that killed Gore Verbinski's career. as it should have. That movie was too weird. I don't know. It was. I'll put the poster up. But anyway, Jenna Ortega from Scream is also in this film. All right, so on streaming, that's all theatrical. Then on streaming, in terms of movies, there's Cheaper by the Dozen on Disney Plus. Deep Water on Hulu finally comes out. That Ben Affleck Ana de Armas movie. And Windfall on Netflix. I think that cast is really impressive. If I have time, I might check that one out. I'll be reviewing Cheaper by the Dozen on Thursday. But all those movies drop Friday. Well, Netflix, speaking of Thursday, has their own a lovable movie star in a dog movie with the Flash's Grant Gustin. So let's see how that does. As for series, Netflix has Is It Cake? Everyone's favorite Instagram game. Reality series Young, Famous, and African, and Big Mouth spinoff Human Resources. Elsewhere, HBO Max has Minx and DMZ debuting Thursday, while on Friday, Hulu drops the entire season of Life and Beth, which I actually watched the screeners for, and I thought it had a pretty solid start, but then it finished very weak. Michael Cera and Amy Schumer, though, were both great. They had really good chemistry. I think there was some interesting commentary. It was really a great showcase for Michael Cera. And I think, Amy Schumer, sometimes she goes too far. I'll watch her material, and I'm like, why, Amy? Why do you do it? But then other times I'm like, that's a great, brilliant observation about women. Watch it, but I'd keep those. It was also got really depressing towards the end, and I forwarded some of it. All right, so anyway, like too depressing. All right, and Apple TV has the first 3 episodes of We Crashed, starring Jared Leto in another disguise, opposite Anne Hathaway. I don't know, you can't keep putting on fake face stuff. And of course, or maybe you can. Let's see. I don't know. And of course, all the Marvel Netflix shows hit Disney Plus on Wednesday, along with upgraded parental controls. Interesting. They'll show up in the Nielsen ratings. They'll show up in the Nielsen ratings if they get enough views. Very curious to see. Who is excited to go? I know some of you like to rewatch old content, but until Daredevil season 4 comes along, those shows are pretty old at this point. All right, so that's this week's Movie Math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? And what are your thoughts on the Batman likely joining the $1 Billion Club? Share those thoughts down below. Bookmark your calendar for Tuesday night for Spider-Man No Way Home. I hope you can get as good snacks as I have planned. Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.